Hi, my name is Maria Clark, and I am here today to talk you through a tax process demonstration for using the NoRTH site to prepare returns for international students and scholars. And we're going to use Lisa, a pretend student, to walk you through that process. So in terms of the general tax process, there are 5 main steps. You're going to get your membership, learn a little bit about taxes, get ready, do your taxes, and then get help if you need it. So for requesting your membership, you're going to go to our main website. We've got a big button on there where you can request your free membership. If you don't see your school in that list, just pick the NoRTH General Membership. And then a reminder here, you must use your school, nonprofit, or government email account. If you use a Gmail, iCloud, or whatever email, it will get initially approved, but we will come back and delete that membership. The Learn page has some information for first-time filers, including a tax orientation video that you can watch to kind of learn more about U.S. taxes. The Get Ready page has more information about all of the different types of income documents that you might receive, as well as information about scope. The Do Your Taxes page has our personalized guide tool, where you can use that to create a personalized guide and then use that guide to prepare your return in our free tax software and then file your return. And finally, there's a Get Help page where you can get more information about assistance. So here is our practice student, our example student that's going to walk you through things. This is Lisa. I'm not going to go through all of her details, but you can see them here, and we'll be entering them, of course, as we get through the process. And just for your information, so Lisa is a pretend student at the University of Minnesota. Obviously, if you're at a different school, different state, you'll have some slightly different information. All right, so we're going to gather Lisa's income documents here. So when we look at this, as we think about income documents, right, these are documents that are provided to you by the organization that gave you the money. So you're not going to prepare an income document. You're not going to create a W-2. You're not going to create a 1042S. When the organization that gave you the money sends you that form, they also send a copy to the tax authorities. And then the tax authorities match what you say and what the organization says to make sure everything is the same. So some common forms are the W-2, which reports wages earned while working as an employee. And that should have been provided by the end of January 2026. A 1042S or 1042S form reports income for a non-resident that has special tax treatment. This is typically for scholarships and fellowships or for treaty-exempt wages, but it can cover a very large number of possible types of income. That is required to be provided by March 15th. Sometimes schools or other organizations will provide it a bit earlier, though. These also are often provided on paper, but some schools will provide them electronically as well. And there are more information about these and other forms on our Get Ready page. So for Lisa, she has a 1042S form. It's got a code 20, which means wages earned while working as a student, and $5,000 of income. She also has a W-2 from the University of Minnesota showing that she had about $8,400 in wages that she earned. So those are Lisa's income documents. Next, let's confirm that she's in scope. We do have some limitations on the things that we can help with. Sometimes these are enforced in the software and we can't change them at all. Other times the software may handle things, but we aren't trained or are not able to help you. So the first one is income. She's got to be under $89,000 of income. This is a hard limit. We can't change it. And it's a total income on the return kind of scope. For states, she's going to get help from Minnesota, which is one of the states that we support. TaxSlayer will prepare all state income tax return forms. Our volunteers are trained on a lot of states, but not all of them. So if you ask for help on a state that we're not trained for, we won't be able to help you. The software will work and we'll refer you to some other resources so you can get your questions answered. We will support treaty benefits for wages and scholarships and capital gains, but all other types of income are out of scope for treaty benefits, and treaty benefits for residents are out of scope as well. We cannot help with self-employment income. Again, software does it, but we can't help you with that. That's what the IRS rules are. But we've got some resources that we can forward to you to help you through that process as well. We also can't help on income earned outside of the United States or cryptocurrency or other digital assets. Again, software can do that. The IRS puts some limits on us, so we can't help with those things. If you have something that's out of scope, again, you can send us an email. We can point you to some external resources where you can find information about how to report that income. All right, so the next step is to create your personalized guide. So we are going to log into the pages and go to that. It's going to be under the Do Your Taxes page, which let's do that right here. So here we are at our North website page. I've already logged in, so we're gonna log in here. We're gonna go to members, we're gonna go to plans. So I'm here, I've got all of the different plans. You'll have just your one plan. You only need one tax membership. We're gonna go here, this is our general home. We're gonna go to Do Your Taxes, and now we're going to create a personalized guide. All right. And I'm going to have Lisa's information kind of off screen so I can refer to it. There we go. All right, I'm ready. Start my guide survey. So, are you a citizen or green card holder? No, Lisa is not. She is from China. She is a tax resident of China. That's where she lived before she came to the United States. If you have questions, you can always send us an email about that. She first came to the United States. Her first visit ever was on an F1 visa on August 1st, 2023, and she went home over the summer of 2024. All right, and for this, we really do need all of your visits and visas because residency is based on all of that history, and so we want to make sure that you get the correct answer. All right, and then she hasn't left, so we're going to leave that blank right there. And it confirms, yep, she's a non-resident alien. If you're a resident alien at this point, it's going to kick you out of the personalized guide because the personalized guide is only for non-residents. The good news is that the TaxSlayer software has a built-in guide for residents. So you don't need any extra help. You've got the help that's already built into the software to prepare your return. Okay. Was she married? Nope, she wasn't married. Remember though, married is married, but she is not. Does she have a social security number? Yes, she does. And now we're going to select the kinds of income. If she didn't have any U.S. income and she only had to file a Form 8843, she could click this and then click into our guide to prepare her 8843 form. We could help her with that. But for Lisa, she does definitely have income. She has two income documents. She has that 1042S, Box 1, Code 20, and then she has a W-2. She did not get any overtime pay or any tip income, so we're going to say no to both of those questions, and then we can continue. All right, we're going to enter the information from those forms. This is part of evaluating her treaty benefits to make sure that she gets everything that she's eligible for. And there we go. Oops, 8,400. All right. Okay, did she contribute to a charity, a U.S. charity? No. Did she make payments on student loans? Nope, she did not. She did not buy a new vehicle and have a loan on it. Has she filed a return? Yes, she has. So, did she receive a refund? No, she did not get a refund. She had to pay more money. Poor Lisa, she had bad news when she came to visit us last year. Okay. All right, where did she get her money from? She got it from Minnesota. And so, yes, here we go. All right, and so she was here in Minnesota all year, so that's very straightforward. Some states, for the state residency, it's not dependent on your federal tax residency. It's got a different calculation, and you have to include the information about where you were physically present in the state to be able to determine your state residency. So if we've got your state supported in here, and it matters about the number of days you were in that state, we will ask you questions about that. If it doesn't matter, then we won't even ask you about that. You'll just skip this part entirely. All right, was where she lived and abode, which is a residence suitable for year-round use and equipped with its own cooking and bathing facilities. The answer is yes, right? She had an apartment. She was good there. Did she get a certificate of rent? No, she did not have one of those documents. She did not get the certificate of property taxes payable. Has she ever filed a return before? Yes, and she has not moved. All right. There we go. We have created her personalized guide. So we're going to click on that. It's going to take a few seconds and then it will download it for us. All right. Save the file. Here we go. All right, so let's come back to our presentation. Where were we at? We were right here. Okay, so we have created her personalized guide. And now we are here. We're in the non-resident section. We're going to use the personalized guide to prepare her tax return forms. We're going to go back to that same North website under the Do Your Taxes, and we're going to click here to access the tax software. So let's do that. We're going to open up the guide. There we go. We're going to go right here. We're going to click here to access the software. And this is what it looks like. And what I'm going to do now is, I know that this will be a little bit small, but I'm going to make it side by side for you so that you can kind of see as we walk through the guide how it walks you through using the guide to prepare your software or your return in the software. Table of contents, kind of the different sections here. We will use information that we entered for Lisa to put that into the tax return. When you create your guide, it's going to do the same thing for you, kind of based on the information that you entered. All right, the TaxSlayer software is great as it is not smart, so you can make it show return numbers that are wrong, refund numbers that are wrong. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you follow the rules, enter everything correctly. When you sign a return, you're signing under penalties of perjury that it is true, correct, and complete. We strongly encourage you to come to an office hours appointment and have somebody double check your return before you file it. If you check it before you file it, it's very easy to fix. Once you send it into the IRS, it is not easy to fix. So have us come help you before you send it in and make life a lot easier. All right, there's our scope. There's all that stuff. Here we go. Do your taxes, get started. And here we are. We're going to continue. And we go down. All right. In this case, we're going to say create an account, but I already have an account, so I'm going to log in. Logging in. We're going to put my password in here. Logging in. All right. One thing to know when you are creating a TaxSlayer account, you must have a US phone number to receive a text message. This is for authentication purposes. You only have to get one text message. After that, you can set it up to do your email. But for the first time, you have to have a US phone number. So it doesn't have to be your number, so you can borrow a friend's number if you want to, if you've got somebody that you can use to help do that. You can also set up a Google phone to have that work. You can temporarily have set up a phone number in the US to do that as well. But that's unfortunately kind of one limitation that there is really no way around. All right, so we're gonna get started. I am obviously slightly different because I've been in here before. We're gonna continue. All right, if we use TaxSlayer, which we kind of did, let's get started. There we go. Obviously we have a different person, but that's okay. All right. Okay, your account has been created. Let's get going. We've got our 2025 American Pledge. That's good. We are going to skip. We're not going to copy this information over. All right, if this is your first time, you won't use that. That's good. There we are. All right, we're going to put our name in here. So we're going to do Lisa. You're going to put your own name. If your name is too long to fit into the boxes, because there is a limit, just put as many letters as you can. So don't abbreviate your name, just put your real name, as much of it as you can. And I'm going to use a non-real number here, but you should put obviously your real social security or date of birth. And let's go back here. What is Lisa's date of birth? When was she born? She was born the very fun tax day, April 15th, 2004. And we're going to say that she is an F1 student as her occupation because that's what her visa is. All right, double check it. Social security numbers, date of birth issues, especially reversing month and day issues, are one of the most common issues that we see with people having problems filing. So double check that. All right, we're going to say this is not her address. Her address from her W-2 is the very crazy 200 University Avenue, apartment number 1, zip code 55455, which is in New York. And then here we're going to say part year resident. Now, Lisa may or may not be a part year resident. That's totally fine. We're going to put part year in now so that we can go through the process of creating her state return with her correct residency later. All right. We will apply or put any of these that apply. Crypto, if you had crypto, received, sold, disposed of a digital asset. Lisa was over 18 and a full-time student, so we're going to click that one. The rest of these things, she doesn't need to click. All right, she is a non-resident alien. Very, very important. Don't select single, select non-resident alien, and then single non-resident alien. Okay. She has no dependents. We're going to put that. She does not have an identity protection PIN. That's like a 6-digit number the IRS sent because somebody tried to steal her information. All right, and we're going to continue. All right, you don't have to say this. This is just them sending you offers, so we're going to say no thank you. Let's do it. Here we go. All right, and we're going to say I don't know which forms I need because our personalized guide is going to walk you through all of the forms that you need to put in. So double checking, we got the little person, we got American Pledge. Now we're at the point where if we need to, we can save and exit, we're all good. And let's keep on going. So if you saved and exited, this would be what you would see when you came back. We're gonna start right here. Basic information, 1040 NR, schedule OI. Okay, general information. Individual, China, this is where we use that information that we entered for Lisa on her personalized guide. She's gonna be a non-immigrant visa, and then doesn't say student, it just has the letters, but F1. All right, and then we're not gonna say anything here. Remember, this applied for green card. Entering the green card lottery is not a check here, but if you win, then that is a check. All right, because we entered all of her days of visits, she has, we have the counts of all of the days that we need to put in there. So 365, 275, 153. All right, she did file a tax return last year. So 2024, 1040 NR. And if you filed a different return, maybe you made a mistake and filed as a resident, you're going to still put just like whatever reality was. That's what you filed. That's what you filed. It is okay, right? And you can deal with getting it fixed later. All right. If you wanted to have your refund mailed to another address outside the US, you'd put some stuff here. Otherwise, oops, we're going to just scroll down and continue. All right. Now we're going to do dates. Lisa is very easy. She just has that one date. So the first date that she was here in the US in 2025, everything else is going to be blank. If you had more dates, you would just click them here, and then you could enter multiple visits. All right, and then we continue. And then we continue again. All right, we are here back at the main page. We're going to go to federal, which is kind of where we are. Then we're going to go to miscellaneous forms. Then this alien exempt for medical conditions. Begin. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put in the date that we've already got. We're going to say no. We're going to say F1. We'll say F-1 even. We'll be very precise. Okay, China. Current passport number. Lisa has the very, very creative, where did we go? Passport. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Obviously not a real passport. That's okay. All right, and then some of these numbers are here for us already. We're gonna just put this one here at the bottom, 365, and continue. All right, and now we're gonna go to part 3. All right, we're going to enter some information here. So we use the general NoRTH member website to fill out this personalized guide. If you have a specific school membership, we may have worked with that school to already provide you in these blue boxes the information to enter for your school. If you don't have it, then you're going to enter your own information. So I'm going to enter it here, University of Minnesota, and 301. Obviously, you can see I've done this before. All right. It looks up the city and state based on the zip code, which is super nice. Megan is our contact there. This was the real number. And then that same 301. 55450. Okay. All right. There we go. So next we're going to talk about, have you been here in the US before? All right. So we're going to answer yes or no for these questions. Were you here for more than 5 years? Nope. Did you apply for a green card? No. All right, so now the years. So she was not here in the US on an F1 visa for any of the 19, 20, 21, 22. So we're going to leave those as no. For 23, we're going to say yes. And then now we're going to say F1, and then we're going to leave it as no. And then 2024, we're going to do the same. Yes, F1, no. And then continue. And then continue. All right, and then continue. And now we're back here to the main page. All right, let's see, what is next? We're going to enter wage income next. All right, let's go to income. And we're going to go to W2. All right, and we're going to enter the information that's on her W2 form. So we're going to basically just copy it verbatim, like whatever's on that form is what we're going to put in here. If the address is different, that's okay. The address is different, totally fine. We're going to just take whatever they said. Now, if you think that there's something that is wrong in terms of like a number in one of the boxes, that is something that you should talk to your employer about. You can ask us, we can't fix it, but we can kind of like talk you through it. But address information, that does not need to get fixed. So here is our W2. So we're going to go from here. 141. Here's the employer identification number. 41,600, 7513. All right. I can spell University of Minnesota. All right. 100 University Avenue, 55145. All right. Minneapolis. All right, there we go. Lisa, her information is the same. That's all good. All right. So box number 1 is right here. Wages, 8,400. Box number 2, 840. All right. These are all blank, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to leave them blank here. If there was stuff in there, we would sure put it in. You know, we'd put a check if the retirement was checked, but it's not. Same thing for box 12. There's all kinds of different codes. If you have something in there, put it in. If you don't, just leave it blank. Then we're going to scroll down to the bottom because we do have stuff down in box 15, which is the state information. Very important to get that in. State ID number 8029894. 8,400, that copied it over for us. It matched, but sometimes it doesn't. That's okay. It is what it is. And then 449. All right, and then continue. And now we have entered Lisa's W2. All right, there we go. That's those things. All right. If your W2 box 1 was empty, we've got some special instructions for you. Everybody else, you're good to go. All right, Lisa does not have any more W2s, so we're going to just continue here. If you have more than one, you can just click that little plus, and then you'll add another W2. And we're back to the main page. Moving on. We're on the federal section. All right, payments and estimates. Let's do it. Here we go. All right. Scrolling down, foreign persons, U.S. income. All right. We're going to enter her 1042-S form now. So not all of the information on this form is required. You can kind of tell if it's required in the software by that little red star. I've also highlighted all of those with the dark red outline of the boxes as well. So let's enter Lisa's 1042-S form. So chapter, which is at this very top, chapter 3. So it's right here, chapter 3. tax rate 0, unique form identifier, again, the very clever 0123, Chapter 3 exemption code. So that's 3A exemption code. Right here is 4, exempt under a treaty. All right, we have no checks here for any special information for amended or anything like that. Now we're going to go to box 1, income code, which is 20. Gross income is 5,000. All right, we'll do net income right here, 5,000. And that's basically all of that information there. So we don't have any other required information except this recipient information right here, which is this Chapter 3 status code, which is 16. That says that Lisa is a person, an individual. All right, so all the rest is all blank. All right, one important thing to note here. So when you're entering this form, like I show all of these forms here, this bottom section, this state section here, if there is a number in box 17A, then you have to fill out kind of this entire section right down here. So this entire section here. If box 17A on your 1042S is empty, then you're going to leave that entire thing blank. All right, here we are. There we go. There we go. All right, we're back to the main page. Okay, so treaty benefits. This is the good stuff, right? Lisa has a treaty benefit as a student from China. She has $5,000 of wages that she doesn't have to pay tax on, which is super awesome. So her total income was $13,400. She's got $5,000 reported on the 1042S, $8,400 reported on her W-2. So we're going to need to put the information about her treaty benefit into TaxSlayer to tell the IRS that, hey, I get this special deal. All right, so back to basic information. 1040 NR, Schedule OI. All right, and then income exempt from tax. Okay, so China. Let's find, there we are, China. All right, so we're looking for Article 20C. So, all right, so for here, there's no text on this, but sometimes a treaty article will apply for multiple types of income. So it could say 16.1, and then it would say 16.1 scholarships, and 16.1 wages earned during studying, and 16.1 remittances, or something like that. So if you have multiple options, you're going to choose the studying and training compensation, or compensation during training, or while gaining experience. All right, for Lisa, for the next one, we're going to put the number of months. So this is the number of months that we previously claimed this treaty on a tax return. So we would look back to her return last year and say, what was the number on last year? And then we're going to add 12 to that. I don't have a copy of her return, so I'll just say that last year was her first year filing. It was at 0. So we're going to say 12 this year. And then the amount of exempt income, we've got that from our tool, 5,000. Continue. All right, and this is her info. We're good to go. We're going to continue, 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 continue. And we're back to the main page one more time. All right. So, okay. Lisa, if you remember, right, she came to see us last year. She had some bad news. She got a federal refund, but she had to pay some additional state tax. The only little bit of good news is that she can use that as a deduction for her 2025 return and get a little bit of money off of her taxes. So we're going to look at that. Find your old return from last year. You're going to find your amount of tax that you paid and how much you owed. And we're going to go to the deductions. So from Lisa, I told you how much that was. It was $107. Okay. Itemized deductions and taxes you paid. All right, so this is going to be that $107. And so see, it says here, right, we've already put that $449 from your W-2. So you don't re-enter information that's on your W-2. It's already included in the calculation. We're just including that $107 because that was from last year's return and it's nowhere in the system. All right, there we go. We continued. We continue again. We continue again. There's a lot of continues. And we're back to the main page. All right. What's next? Next, states. Okay. So here's some basic information about Minnesota taxes. If you're at a state that we support, we'll include this same sort of information, things like residency and treaty benefits, all that kind of important stuff. So we're going to continue to the state section. Let's go to states. All right, let's get started. Okay, Minnesota is here. If you know where it is, otherwise you can just click on it on the list. All right, we did an analysis of Minnesota residency for Lisa. She is a full year Minnesota resident. So we're going to select resident here. All right, remember this is a tax residency. It's not immigration, not for any other like tuition purposes or anything like that. All right, I know that Lisa's address is based in Hennepin, if I can spell it, County. We're gonna skip that campaign contribution and move on. All right, if you want to learn more, there's some stuff about it. All right, and then we're gonna say no, continue. Our state is done. It is just that quick and easy. Now, not everybody is that quick and easy. Sometimes there'll be some more things to do. So if those apply, you'll see those in your personalized guide. All right. We're getting ready to file. All right. We want to make sure that everything is correct. This is right here, the perfect time to have an office hours appointment. I will remind you. We would be happy to take a look at everything, make sure it's all correct. I will say that as well, the federal form can be filed electronically in like almost all circumstances. States sometimes can't be. Usually they can be, but mostly for married non-residents, they can't be electronically filed. There'll be some instructions about how to paper file from that. When you electronically file your return, it gets sent off to the IRS first. They process it 15, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, something like that. Then they'll send a message back. Usually it's accepted, congratulations. If it gets rejected, send us an email. Send us an email with all of the details about why it was rejected, and we can help you kind of triage and fix your return that way. That's like, takes a couple times back and forth, but it's really effective to do it that way. If it's accepted, then once the federal is accepted, then they will send the state return as well. Typically, you're going to wait a little bit longer for that one. It's more like a day or so before you'll get the return or the accepted return information back. If you are filing your return and you are getting a refund, so typically it should take 1 to 3, like 1 to 2 months to get your refund if you do direct deposit. If you do a paper check, the IRS has changed their procedures, and now they will, if you file with saying you want a paper check, they don't want that. So they will send you a letter saying, hey, we would really like your bank information. And then they will wait to see if you send that letter back. And then they will wait a little bit longer, and then they will finally send you a paper check. So it will still happen, but you will just be waiting more like 3 to 6 months if you're wanting a paper check back from the federal government. State processing for returns or refunds is not really changed, so those should still happen on a similar time frame, no matter if you're electronically filing and wanting a direct deposit or getting a paper check back. Sometimes returns with a 1042S form can take longer. It's not always, but for whatever reason, sometimes those do take a little bit longer. So if you do have a 1042S, just be aware that there might be a bit of a delay in getting your refund due to the IRS processing issues. We can't really identify any particular factor that drives that. Okay. So if you are filing and you filed last year, you're going to need a copy of your tax returns. If you filed in TaxSlayer with us last year, you actually don't, because they will have your information. You will actually be able to see like your prior year PDFs right down here, and they are going to copy all of that information over for you directly, so you don't even have to worry about it. But if you filed somewhere else, get a copy of those forms out and get ready to go. There's other ways about how to get that information. Here's the direct deposit stuff. here we go. We're there. We're going to do states. If there's any errors, try to fix them. Obviously, if you're a married non-resident for a state, that one can't be fixed, and it's going to have to take a paper file for you. All right, here we are. We're finally at the summary screen. Let's do it. Before you go any further, download a copy of everything. We want to make sure that you save a copy of your return so that if you have any questions, if you lose access to your account, whatever's going on, so you have a copy of that so you can access it. Very important. All right, once that's done, continue. You're ready to get filing here. All right. It doesn't like it because I have a fake social security number in here. So I am going to take it off to the side and fix that issue. We're going to come back. All right. Let's try it here again. Okay, it's doing its review. It's checking everything. Make sure it's all right. Okay, don't miss out. You're going to miss out. We do not need spam offers from TaxSlayer. You guys are wonderful, but no thank you. It's no big deal if you hit it. It's okay, but you don't need to do it. All right. Yes, we're ready to file. All right, so we have the filing section in our personalized guide is the longest because when you first give us your information, we have no idea, are you going to get a refund or are you going to owe? So we kind of go through all of the different options here. So I'm going to walk through you're getting a refund options, but know that if you owe a payment for the federal or you get a refund on the federal, but you owe a payment for the state, all of that stuff is covered, which is kind of the example we're going to do here today. So let's do it. Here we go. We're going to say continue. We definitely want direct deposit. All right, that's going to delay things. All right, how do we want to do our state tax? So we're going to tell them direct debit. We're going to say, just take the money out of my bank account. You can choose the date that you want them to take it out up to April 15th. Anything later than that, it's going to be late, and then you would want to make an alternative arrangement. You can mail a payment. You can also usually go pay online as well, so whatever you want. But we're going to do the easy way and do it electronically. All right, we're not doing a property tax refund, so we're going to skip that one. All right, we are free. This should always be 0. You should never pay. If it is, please send us an email. We will help you work through that. Okay. Yes, that's an example of what it would look like. All right, although they say sign and file, this is actually not the signing and filing with the final step. So we are going to keep on going. Yes, we want to do direct deposit. We're going to put it into just one bank account. We're going to name it as bank. It can be any name. It's not a real name. Checking number. All right. We're going to make up a number with a bank routing number and then a fake account number. You would obviously want to put your information in there. You want to really make sure that it is the correct information because they're going to put that money in there. And although you can get the money back if it goes to the wrong place, it is definitely an experience, which will take a while. So make sure that the information is correct. It also has to be a U.S. financial institution, so it can't be a bank back in your home country. All right, there we go. We've got my bank. We're good to go. All right, so for here, we're doing debit information. So again, if I kind of jumped over to here, right, it would say, hey, select your payment. We're going to select our payment. There we go. We're going to enter our date. So we owe $3. We're going to say, we're going to put it off as late as possible. We're going to say April 15th, 2026. One other thing to kind of keep in mind is that this is the date that they sort of initiate the payment from the IRS systems. And sometimes it can take up to a week for it to actually show up in your online bank account. The other thing to know is this is a one-time message that is sent to the IRS. So if you do make a mistake in the withdrawal information, you can generally fix it or at least stop the withdrawal from happening. But the only way to do that is to call the tax authorities to get them to stop it. Okay, there we go. We've done that, we've done that, we've done that. Final filing step. I'm going to say I don't wish to provide an ID. You can enter one if you like. It's completely up to you what you would like to do. All right, we need some information. All right, so if you filed a copy from last year, so if you filed with TaxSlayer, you won't ever even see this screen. It'll just jump right over it because they have your information. Because this account didn't actually really file in a return for Lisa, we don't have that, so we would say to choose which option applies. Yes, I electronically filed my return and I have a copy of it. I can't find it, but I've electronically filed and I know what my PIN is, or I didn't electronically file. So if you sent in a paper return or you never filed, then you can select this option right here. All right, we're going to select this. I filed and I have a copy. And then we're going to enter the type of form that she used, which was the 1040 NR. And we're going to look up her information from here, which I'm going to look up and say it was 8200. Obviously, this is a pretend information. You're going to look at your real forms. Double check. This is another one of those checks to make sure that things match. So if it's wrong, then they will reject your return. Now we're creating a 5-digit PIN. So this is another way, right? If you don't have your forms from last year, but you say, oh, I remember my 5-digit PIN number, just like a code number, you can enter that when you're ready to file, and that way you don't have to have that copy of your return. So we're going to use Lisa's zip code, 55455. It can be any number that you want. All right. And then this would be where we go. And so this is where I'm stopping. I'm not going to click anymore because I don't really want to actually file. Sorry, I kind of jumped through those on the slides there. We enter the thing, click to file your return. You would click here to say sign and file, and off it would go. It would be done. And if you have to fix anything, you can go edit here. I'm going to go back very carefully because of course, I don't really want to file this return with that number that I put in. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change that information just to make sure that I don't accidentally do anything in any permanent sort of a way. Okay. All right, so let's come back to Lisa's tax return. So we were here, we prepared Lisa's return, and we have now filed her return. So at this point, we would be waiting our 15, 30 minutes, hour, something like that. We're going to get the message back from the IRS. Congratulations, your return was accepted. Another day, we'll get a message back. Congratulations, your Minnesota state return was accepted. Everything is good. If anything happens and there's a problem, let's get some help, right? If she wanted a review, she could do that. Otherwise, she can come send us an email. This is what we would see here on the Get Help page, right? Send us an email if you have questions. Make an office hours appointment if you need help with that. And that ends our demonstration today. Thank you so much for watching this with me. And I hope to see you at a tax clinic or hear from you on email soon. Goodbye.